Try this again. This morning studied. I studied in my devotional, and then after my devotional, in my devotional, it actually brought me to some thoughts in there about complaining. Like one of the, I can't think of the name of the devotional I'm reading right now. Anyway, I'll drop it in the chat if anybody's interested. If you happen to be live while I'm telling you this part, but in my devotional this morning, it talked about complaining to God. And even as I read it, I thought, because even as I think about complaining, I've thought about complaining through the years. It's always had such a negative connotation. And the first thing that comes to my mind when I think about complaining is the children of Israel and how the children of Israel were grumbling. And there were so many things that happened because of, their complaints to Moses. Like one of the ones that, they were provided with manna. And then they were talking about they used to eat fish when they were in Egypt. And so Moses, of course, went back to God about it. And then they were provided with quail and, after that. And how God's anger arose against them for how they were complaining. And so when I read in my devotional that it said that you should complain to God, I was like, that just doesn't sound right. And so then the example it gave was Naomi, and say, Naomi lost her husband, she lost her sons, and she even asked them to stop calling her Naomi, call her Mara. And Mara means bitter, because she was bitter because she felt like the Lord had, allowed these things to happen in her life. And so it just made me think about, well, what is the right way? Like, what do we do? Like, what's the right response? How do we handle it? And so when I looked at complaining to God, I'm like, if the children of Israel, were wrong in their complaints, what made Naomi right in the way she grumbled, right? Because she grumbled in a sense too. And what I got out of my study time is this about complaining, that you can raise your concerns to God. The difference between the children of Israel and what they experienced in the wilderness is that they were complaining about God. They didn't see God as a provider, that he would come through. It was almost like he was not going to do anything about what their experience was. Whereas Naomi referred to her God still, understanding that he still could provide. So it was really more of a better word would be lamenting. Like, so to lament against God about something, or to God about what you're experiencing. Let me restate it. To lament to God about what you're experiencing, what your concerns are, versus to complain about God. And it reminded me of a friend that I had years ago, that I was going through some experiences at work, and I was really complaining about what was happening with this person that I had to deal with. And I was sharing with her, and I was sharing with her frequently about what I was experiencing. It was such a bad time in my life. I remember I would play Bag Lady on repeat during that time. Like the song by Erica Bagdu, Bag Lady, you're going to hurt your back, dragging all your bags like that. Basically, I knew that I was going through so much that I was carrying around just baggage and really sharing that baggage with anyone. And the difference that I learned is that when you are when you want to talk to God about the bad things that are going on in your life, there is a way to do it. Like, there's a way that you can have conversation with him about the things that are on your heart that are not positive. We're not supposed to pretend that everything is okay in our closet, in our time one-on-one with God. We're supposed to come with honesty and talk about what our true experience is, what our heart is feeling. Even Jesus had a moment on the cross where he says, my God, that is lamenting. It wasn't complaining, because he went on through and did what he knew that he was doing for us. But to complain about it from the sense of the children of Israel is a great example, because it was really not even to the right person. And when I think about my concerns and complaints that I was expressing about people to others, I was expressing my concerns to my friends and other folks around what I was experiencing at work and whatever, but I was not expressing it in my prayer closet with God in the way that I should have been. And he brought me through it anyway, and I never denied him as being my God. I'm just using the example of how we might complain versus how we can lament, like how we can depend on God to bring us through something versus getting in a space where we're just complaining, thinking that He's not able. Because He is able. And even if you do go through something, you can still come on the other side of it and be strong on the other piece of it. And you'll learn something in the process, and it can bless your life, and it'll be a testimony to others for you to be able to tell people about the goodness of God and how He delivered you through it. Job is another great example of someone who didn't complain, but he lamented. Like, he wasn't happy. Like, we're not supposed to act like when stuff happens to us, or when we're going through a bad time, that we gotta just put on a happy face. Like, that is literally not reasonable. Like, it's not reasonable for us to put on a happy face. But should we allow us to take us to where we're turning away from what we believe, that we're turning away from God, not talking to Him at all, like trying to figure out how to solve it on our own is not the answer either. So instead of being in a space where we're just complaining, we're supposed to go before the Father and tell Him the real. He knows, but tell Him, hey, this makes me feel this. It makes me feel this certain way. I mean, my face is all red this morning because as I thought about the fact that I get into prayer and I'm lifting things up and I'm being all positive, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm, sharing faith too, right? Because you were like, what's the difference between my faith? Where does my faith end? And me complaining, thinking that God won't bring this thing to the other side. And so I've had to, even this morning, I was in tears because I was just like, God, I have some things that I'm just not happy with. Like, there's some things I want to see turned around in my life. They're not bad things. They're not like world-ending things, like things that I don't think that won't get better and that I don't trust Him for. But before, I wouldn't even talk about it in prayer. I ask Him, Lord, still, I want to lift this thing up to bring it before You. But to spend the time talking about how I feel about it in prayer with Him is not something I normally do. And so I spent some time this morning doing just that, talking about how I feel about some of the things that I'm not happy with, versus just putting on a happy face. So my encouragement to us today is, when you are in your prayer closet, you don't always have to put on a happy face. You don't have to pretend that what you're experiencing doesn't have you feeling a certain way. Like, I can't imagine being Naomi, who lost her husband and her sons, and she's at a point now where her daughter-in-laws are with her, and one stays with her, one goes away, and she has an option to either talk in faith and still refer to God as her God, or she can be in a space where she's like, well, I don't even believe God. She believed God even though she said she was bitter. Like, you can still believe God while you are in a bitter phase. You can still believe God when it doesn't feel like things are going to turn around. You can still believe God even when the things aren't going the way you think that they should go. You can still be in faith. You can still say, He's still my God. He's still my God. I had a dream the other morning about this man that I know who's been through a lot. He lost a job. He had to start all over. He was highly ranked in this position. And I saw him in this dream singing in a choir. And this is encouragement for somebody. Maybe it's you. Maybe you need to get and do something that you haven't thought about doing. Get in the choir and sing anyway. But he was singing, I Won't Complain. And I'll drop that song in this. And I just think it's something that, that was 2 days ago I had that dream. Because it's not a complaint. You can go to God about what you're feeling, and you can share your concerns. But you don't have to, it's not a complaint for you to tell Him what you really feel. It's not a complaint. It's your expression of what you're feeling. It's the real. Like, we got to be in the space that we can be real with God. So that's my encouragement to you all today. Understanding that I know we've been taught that you can't complain, and we should not complain from a perspective of saying there's no resolution to this. There's nobody who has the power to bring in resolution. God can resolve whatever it is you are experiencing. And whatever you are experiencing, get in your prayer closet and talk to Him about it. It's the difference between having a conversation with Him about it and talking to somebody else about Him and how He didn't do something for you, or He'll never come through for you. So that's just my encouragement. Just to go to Him. Go to Him. Like, To complain about it, to have conversation about it is not the same thing as to lament to him, to come to him still believing and knowing that even though it may feel this way right now, even though it may not look like there's going to be victory on the other side of this, yet I trust you. Yet I know in the end of this that I'm going to see a victory. And I don't know what victory may look like. It may look like something I didn't think it was going to be. Like, sometimes God presents stuff to us, and when we get it and the answer is what it is, and we come on the other side of it, we reject it because it's not what we framed in our mind. But what He has for you can be so much better, but you still got to go through it to see. You got to go through it to see what the other side of it looks like. My a friend of mine, I'm not gonna say who she is, but we were talking about my journey from, like, even house purchases from when I was young. When I first got out of college, I got in a 1-bedroom apartment. It was a 1-bedroom apartment, me and my husband and my daughter. He wasn't even my husband at the time, he was my boyfriend and our baby. And even in that, I can remember not having a washer and a dryer. And I'm like, okay, how do I get a washer? I got that. I was happy about the washer. Then I went and said, how do we get a dryer? I got that, and I was happy about that. This journey requires phases of faith. Like, we all want to see, like, the big thing at the end, but you gotta sometimes be able to see the small steps in between and celebrate those things and not complain along the way, but be happy through the victories that you have day by day. Like the small victories day by day that can take you into tomorrow and the next week. And so the little steps, like looking at how far you were, whatever that thing was, into where you're going. I'm just encouraging you this morning. If you're up this morning because you are, like, tormented by something, like you're worried about it, go to your prayer closet and talk to God about it. Tell Him, I don't like it. I don't like the fact that they did this. I don't like the fact that I don't ever see this person. I don't like the fact that my relationship with this person is fractured. I don't like the fact that I lost this person. I don't like it, Lord. It hurts. I feel this. Be honest about how you're feeling and trust Him and watch Him bring those things to pass in your life. But at minimum, talk to Him, not about Him. Turn towards Him, not against Him. Because what you can get with Him is so much better than what you can get in the world. God bless you. Thank you for joining. Have a great day, y'all.